While most of the conversation about drugs in this country, at least recently, revolves around the legalization of marijuana, or maybe even the overdose death of actor Philip Seymour Hoffman, did you know that 7 of the top 11 drugs that are most frequently abused are prescription drugs? Now, whenever I want to have a drug conversation, I love to invite into the conversation Cain Cupp, live from Washington, D.C. Essie, do you have a feedback monitor there? Can you see us?
Yes.
You do?
No, I can't see you, no.
Oh, you can't? That's a shame. But let's get a wide shot, because I want to show you that every time you come on and talk about drugs, Charles Cook is here to heckle from the corner, from the peanut gallery, and tell me I haven't pushed back hard enough on you. So
okay.
I'll hold my mic close to him every time I'm not doing so. Prescription drugs. Look, did you know that more prescription drug deaths every year occur from prescription drugs than cocaine and heroin? More drug deaths from prescription drugs than cocaine or heroin. This seems to be the problem that absolutely nobody talks about.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think from all walks of life, every age group, you could argue that we're over-medicating our population, from kids and teenagers all the way up through housewives, retirees, and veterans. And we're under-treating in a lot of those cases. And so what happens is a doctor writes a prescription, leaves it to the individual to address, in some cases, the underlying causes of depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, insomnia. That person doesn't get help, and when the prescription runs out, they turn to cheaper and more readily available drugs, in many cases illicit drugs like heroin. So we don't address the root causes of what brings someone to a doctor in the first place. We just give them some medication.
Let's go back to our legalization versus illegal drug abuse debate. If we have more deaths occurring from prescription drugs than cocaine and heroin combined, in fact, opiate analgesics, where just like opiates, oxycodone, that kind of thing, kill more than cocaine and heroin, doesn't suggest that controlling the substance does nothing to actually cut back on the abuse of it?
Well, there's a couple of arguments here that are a little bit inconsistent. The newest, latest, and I think there's a lot of truth to this argument, is that we are crowding up our prisons with people for minor drug offenses, and that doesn't address a soaring drug problem either on the illegal or legal side. And I think that's largely true. But we also have conversations about the role of government in other areas. On the left, government should be able to mandate what your kid eats for school lunches or how much salt or soda you have, but should get out of the business of jurisdiction of marijuana use. So it's hard to have political conversations about solutions when no one's quite sure where the government belongs in our wholesale health program, whether that's mental illness, drug use, incarceration, illicit and licit drug use.
And you want to say something?
An inconsistent policy.
Charles is leaning in to my mic. You want to say something?
I just want to, I understand that the left wants to micromanage school lunches and also wants to legalize marijuana. My question is, as people in favor of liberty, can't we just be in favor of both?
In favor
or rather against the government in both cases, I should say.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, certainly. I mean, the libertarian impulse is to keep the government out of your school lunches, away from my large super gulp soda, and away from marijuana use. But Will showed you the numbers, and in fact, if you add alcohol, 130 million Americans are using prescription drugs, illegal drugs, or alcohol. That's an epidemic that we need to address. And whether or not you think the government should play a role in that, that's up for debate.
But aren't we addressing that? I mean, they're already illegal. They're a controlled substance. The point is,
alcohol is not illegal. Marijuana is now legal in 2 states.
But on all these other drugs, the ones we're talking about, the ones that kill more than cocaine and heroin combined, the one that many Americans, upwards of 50% of Americans taking prescription drugs on a controlled substance, it's like, it isn't working.
Right, but what's the alternative? I mean, no one thinks it should be legal to sell or buy 70 bags of heroin like Philip Seymour Hoffman did. No one would argue that that should be legal. I'm just talking about the inconsistencies in our messages. Everyone applauds CVS for taking cigarettes off of the shelves, and yet those same people think marijuana should be legal.
Right.
We have inconsistent messages on health, especially where mental health comes in, and we have inconsistent solutions for those problems, some involving the government, some not involving the government. It's difficult to get a read and for everyone to get on the same page
and
about addressing a very real problem when so many people think we should have so many different solutions.
And inconsistencies and arbitrary lines. I don't know why marijuana remains illegal in some places and these opiate oxycodone drugs are free for the taking with a prescription.
Right.
All right. Thanks for stopping by tonight.
Sure.
Terror is gaining new foothold.